Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is your favorite crypto trading show, Coffee and Trading Crypto with the Trading Bros. I'm your host, Clutch Crypto. We got B. Wellington on the charts. We did have some moves to the downside last night. We did break into the $1,000 range again and got down to about 1050. We've got a little bit of a retrace, but will we continue to the downside, or are we going to get a little bit of relief right before big CME, some Fed meetings that's happening tomorrow? So let's dive in.
You can
see what's going on.
You can't even talk without getting CME out. You almost do CME as just randomly.
CME, CPI.
Just for record, where's CME? Come on, just for the record, where's CME?
1235.
1235. Which one day we'll get back to.
We might get back to it this week, man. But we'll see.
If we do get to 1230, I will be sure to give you all of the glory. Look, here we are. We've talked about this setup for a while. We've got our highs, our ranges at 1278, just above that CME, and our low coming in at 875 relative to that last week that's in there. So that's the range that we're playing with on the daily. As you can see, we've talked about this many times, but just so that we keep it in our heads that we've got this cross that's a holding because we've been moving up here on the daily, and so this is kept these a little bit more flat, and so they haven't crossed, but there's a lot of folks that are anticipating it. So the question is, there's two things about trading. We can have an open discussion about this. There's a trading the against the technicals. When I say against the technicals, trying not to get into the most crowded trade that's out there, because generally, that's the one that goes against you. But there's also just this macro environment of this 3AC and what they're doing out there, bankruptcy. You got Voyager, you got Celsius that's holding funds. There's a lot of things that are out there, and so if you got a fund like 3AC that is being liquidated, those folks don't want that crypto. They want cash. In order to get that cash, they got to sell off, those particular assets. And, anything that moves to the upside is going to be faded because, if they're waiting on Ethereum to get to a certain price in order to liquidate, that's just it's not a great scenario to have out there. So we can play the technicals all we want, but if the capital's not out there, liquidity's being drained, we can see some of that, within the numbers. It's very difficult to get a very large price run. The other thing is everybody's anticipating this bear market rally, me included, right? And so if everybody's anticipating something, that could also be a catalyst for it moving down. What are your thoughts on that, Clutch?
I think you're absolutely correct.
That's my guy. That's my guy. You know what I'm saying? But look, so we've just been ranging within this pattern. We've got this kind of the secondary low here at 990, kind of waiting to get back down to that range. Asia, if we look at the sessions, Asia has been really, kind of the sell-off sessions. Not the just from an overall macro standpoint as it relates to crypto, that session has been what sold off the most. If we go into some lower time frames, you can look at where we're at. We're just cycling through this pattern, that's out there. So whether we start to make this turn here or continue back down to like I said, this peak or this this lower peak, I guess you would say. The lower in the range of 993 or 990, if you want to call it. It's right there. I think we've got some vectors in here as well. We're in kind of the middle of this volume profile relative to this range. So we're right at the POC of that profile. This is on the hourly. So we kind of bounced up and down here. We did open up the week up in this range, and so we tend to get back to those by the end of the week. But we've got a lot of news that's coming out that's going to throw things around. We also had futures were down this morning from the stock market perspective, which we've been correlated to quite tremendously. But if this pattern holds true, then we should hold a little bit around this area, not break this low, and then come back up and maybe start to range in and tighten that range up just a bit. But that's not a guarantee as we move into tomorrow, which is going to give us a bunch of CPI prints. If we go to even smaller time frames, again, you can see that we've had that big drop from yesterday. We've got daily open that dropped as well to 1097, opening last night in Australia. We've already had this cross on this shorter time frame. It's hard not to see us getting back up somewhat to recover as we've got folks that I'm sure are going short on this move. We just have to kind of see how things are going on that end. From a volume perspective, just kind of looking at volume, not a whole lot of volume, not a whole lot of liquidity, as it relates to the upside. We've got, this, what I look at as far as RSI is kind of top of the range. But this has really been, kind of an interesting session. I thought we were going to get a little bit of a pump yesterday, which we kind of did. If we look at, the New York session, we had this big, move up here and then bring back down, come back up to test those ranges and then bring it right back down. So yesterday they were definitely playing games relative to chopping that range before bringing it all the way down. So we'll just have to see what they're doing today. And, as you can see, we're kind of moving back up in that range. So moving on to things we like to look at, 3.8 billion in OI as far as on the perpetual side. This is we're kind of at the lows, 3 to 3.5 is kind of where we've seen it get all the way down to. And so we were down 6% relative to OI. We've kind of moved up price-wise, but, OI has remained flat. So I don't know if people are actually participating in this move just yet, or they're still stuck in positions, maybe those longs that they got into holding on to yesterday. If we look at things like funding rate, let me just refresh this. We've got a lot of negatives on the board, which means a lot of exchanges that are net short relative to it. So this is somewhat of just a trader sentiment, that's out there. And so when people are net short, price generally tends to trend back up. Let's just look at the traditional market. Let me refresh this. We were 180 points negative for the Dow, about 50 points negative for the S&P on the future side. So we've opened up and we're actually trending in a positive direction. So I would imagine that crypto follows that. Oil's under 100. There's a lot of geopolitical things going on there. I think yesterday Russia cut off a major pipeline into Germany, I believe, for quote unquote maintenance. We'll see how that affects energy prices. Gold remains flat, Bitcoin remains flat, but we definitely have some movement going into the market. On the upside, probably a little recovery from yesterday. We've had sort of 3-year inflation expectations, 3.6, which is a revision down. So quote unquote things are getting better from that end. But if you look at this, a small business index, which is a measure of kind of what small businesses think of the economy, which is the lowest it's been. I think I read an article earlier, in the last 30 years. So this is not looking good for small business as far as their sentiment is concerned, which means they're probably going to limit investments, limit inventory, things of that nature. So, we got to watch out there. And tomorrow's the big day. We've got, consumer price index, core CPI, federal, budget, even moving into Thursday, the PPI, initial job claims. But this is going to be tomorrow kind of the number that everybody's going to use to determine whether or not, what the Fed's going to do. I think the sentiment right now is pretty much, 75 basis points. Given, these numbers, I already think there's some indications that these numbers may come in hot. So we will see. That's all for tomorrow. But, that's all I got on my end, Clutch.
Let's see what we got. Okie dokie. So, can you see a high block capital?
You see high block capital.
Okay, perfect. So this is high block capital on the ETH Binance, something that we do look at every day. And as you can see, just two very short days, we're already at almost negative $6 billion on the liquidation cumulative delta. And as you can see, the balance is really thrown off here. We only have 79 long liquidations that are still out there and open. But here's the thing that makes this tricky, in my opinion, is when we zoom in here, we are still continuing to just see longs, and longs. So that leads me to believe that we're going to continue to see some lower prices. However, we do have some really big short liquidations out there. So it's a matter of if they want to leave them out there. So the 1053 area that we got to is the key area you need to pay attention to. If we get back into that area and drop, continue some lower prices. However, I'll show you on Bookmap in a minute. We are possibly trapping longs right now. We're right here in this, right where we're at right now, 1077. Let me slide this over here so you guys can see it. We looks like we're trapping. We trapped some longs here, but as you can see, it looks like we're releasing them. So that leads me to believe that we might be seeing a small flip of the book. And as you can see, the order balance, we're still heavily weighted to the downside. This, like you can see here, we should probably there's a potential that we could drop down to 1068. However, will we cycle up to 1092, which looks like that may be what's happening right now, and that's the chart volume profile that we're looking at right here. And I mean, it's very possible that we can get all the way up to 1100 pretty easily here. As you can see, there were still a lot of longs that got trapped here. So yesterday, with this move down, they were just busy really trapping a bunch of longs, and then they had that pull down after New York close. So I would really want to see us probably get up into back up into this area of 1150 area to see if we break above these, so that we can really say that we're actually going to see some nice movement to the upside, or if they're just coming back right now to do the trap. So be very careful. Again, 1055 is kind of where we have support right now. And as you can see, there's a little bit of volume coming in. Longs are starting to get on board. So I would probably be comfortable taking a long if we could get up into this 1100, because we'll break that area. And then the next area that we want to pay attention to is about 1050 for either a breakthrough or a retracement. If we slide out to see where the long-term liquidity is hanging out at, this will tell you that we don't really have hardly any long-term liquidity orders to the downside, which very concerning for the bulls here. So I would anticipate today some ranging happening, but there's a good chance that we're going to continue to see some downward momentum later today. That's all I got.
Well, I think we're pretty much in agreement. I mean, any bounce that we get to the upside, especially with CPI data today, not today, but tomorrow that's coming out, I would be wary of.
Is he there? Oh, are you still there? Oh, that's all you had to say? What happened? We lost him. I can't hear him. I'm not sure what's going on, folks, but that's all we got. I won't be here tomorrow. I have to go do my civic duty and go to a jury. So hopefully B. Wellington will be on the show tomorrow, and I'll catch you guys again